We're going to be staying in the realms of the handheld because quite a lot of stories concerning Windows and Microsoft's prospective Xbox handheld. Last night, before we actually filmed this direct, Windows Central posted an exclusive suggesting that Microsoft has quote-unquote sidelined its bespoke Xbox handheld, doubling down on actually getting Windows 11 into shape for Xbox gaming and presumably relying on the likes of Asus and Lenovo to produce their own handheld hardware. I've got some thoughts on that. That comes in the wake of some testing done by Dave2D, who compared the Lenovo SteamOS version of its latest handheld with the Windows version. The Windows version coming across exceptionally poorly in that. Lower battery life and remarkably lower performance. Bearing in mind
that is the worst part, in my opinion.
Well, why don't you take over, Alex? Tell us what you think about this, because I mean, essentially, I don't think that the performance thing is actually a Microsoft problem exclusively, because it's surely the open source driver on SteamOS that is actually providing a more efficient and therefore more performant experience than AMD's own driver.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. The Xbox handheld being sidelined, from my perspective as a PC player, I think this is good, at least for a unified approach to the next iteration of gaming on Windows. As Oliver's detailed so many times, the handheld experience is dire, but even then, I feel like Windows itself as an operating systems, it's changed a lot over the last year, decade in some. You had your Windows 8 tiles, and then you went into a more conservative era with Windows 10, but now it's once again branching out into other aspects of computing, which go far beyond the remit of a usual user. And I feel like someone who just uses their PC for gaming, the ability to access stuff like Copilot, whatever, all these, and all the security features that seem a bit too intense for someone who's just doing, like bit transfers for peer-to-peer gaming. It seems a little bit out of place. And I feel like there could be a version of Windows, or at least an aspect of Windows, which locks it into a useful game mode that could bring PC gaming forward in some aspect, where, as we see with SteamOS, on the deck or on other devices, that you can actually have an optimized ergonomic and even gaming experience with advantages like shader caching via Fossilize, which is different than downloadable shader cache. I just want everyone to remember, there's always people in the audience who always mess that up. You can download the cache for a specific device, but Fossilize makes it so you can replay back shaders on any device of any configuration. It's a different thing entirely. It's actually a lot better. These are aspects that SteamOS has showed us that Windows could actually probably use these. And it's a little weird that Microsoft has sat on its laurels so much when they have this incredible ecosystem that they could iterate on. Dave2D's video here, I think it was incredible for showing off the aspects of where it currently is in such a bad place, and how did it get to this place, and why are we looking at third parties to give you the better non-native gaming experience. This is not playing native Linux ports. This is translating them for Linux, running in Vulkan, and it's running better and giving you better battery life. There were some rebuttals to the video saying it's technically not accurate in regards to battery life because you can manually set the wattage per game in real time. Well, that's something Windows should do. It's not something the user should be left up to. Yes, the AMD driver could be better, but why are they shipping these devices at all in this driver state? Why is Microsoft also okay with this driver state being so bad for the only handheld devices that there are? They tend to be AMD APUs. The Intel ones, no offense to Intel, they aren't nearly as popular. It feels like an entire situation where Microsoft, as the head of PC gaming for Windows, should be taking a lot more steps to make sure it's a good experience, and they don't do that. So I do hope, based upon this reporting from Windows Central, that it does lead to a concerted effort to make Windows a great place to game, regardless whether it's a handheld or a desktop PC. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't want half the stuff in the Windows that is currently in Windows that just get in the way of its basic functionality. Yeah, my goodness. So let's hope this brings Windows more into that realm.
Okay. Yes. The Steam Deck came out 25th of February 2022. We're now in the year of our Lord 2025, and yet still, Windows is poor by comparison to SteamOS. And that's quite remarkable. I can't really say anything else. Surely, when the Steam Deck came out, there would have been people at Microsoft saying, whoa, hold on a minute, this poses possibly an existential threat to gaming on Windows. Because let's be honest, what is happening here on handheld could easily be done on a desktop. There's no reason why it couldn't sort of migrate over and become the de facto system for gaming, unless Microsoft really steps up. So the fact that 3 years on we're still seeing results like the Dave 2D video is astonishing, and we are actually now in the situation where Valve is threatening to eat Microsoft's lunch. I can see why that possibly Microsoft would kick their own bespoke handheld into the weeds, and just to get Windows right, because Windows is presumably going to be a core component of the next console as well. And the fact that there's going to be so many of these handheld devices coming to market. Each year there'll be presumably iterative improvements, as we've seen with the handhelds released in the PC space so far. So I guess maybe they're thinking, well, why produce one handheld that will go up presumably against what Sony are doing, when actually the market is taking care of that for ourselves. Let's focus on the actual home console, get that right, but crucially get Windows right. That's the key thing here, seemingly. These results are just kind of shocking, really. John, thoughts?
This whole situation with these handhelds and Windows, it's been a long time that the problem has kind of existed. And it's pretty clear by now. Like last year, you gave me that, I don't even remember the name of it. There's like this
it's a 1X
portable
player.
Handheld device. The 1X player, yeah. It's a very nice piece of hardware. It is noticeably more powerful than the Steam Deck. But I've left the Windows experience on there because it's kind of a good chance to experience the issues with it and see if it improves. But by and large, whenever I boot it up, I'm always shocked at how poor the actual experience is on the device itself. It's the kind of thing where I instantly realize, okay, I need to plug in a mouse and probably a keyboard here to like do anything useful, which is not what you want from a handheld device. So just the user interface remains bad. And then there's these performance issues that we're seeing here. And it's just like, it makes sense then, like you say, if the next console is designed to also leverage Windows like this, they need to make darn well certain that it's good, like really good and ready for this. And there's enough devices out there already anyways, so that would, I think, in the handheld space where I can see them kind of questioning whether they really needed an official Xbox branded one, especially if they're not ready to do this whole revamp idea. Like, we're kind of imagining that when they said the next console launch would be like the biggest leap ever, it's probably because they're leveraging it like as a PC now, right? If they can run Steam and stuff, that just automatically makes it kind of like a pretty gigantic leap for the console space. Not that they would necessarily want to focus specifically on Steam, mind you, but that transitioning to a new sort of model for what the console is. And yeah, I guess perhaps they're just not ready yet for this handheld space to do anything official in that regard. And so, I don't know, we'll see.
Any final thoughts there, Alex?
Well, yeah. I mean, I use Windows for gaming for my entire existence, also DOS. And it's been interesting to see how when I go back and use older versions of Windows, the ability to just load up anything or find out anything on your PC has now been obfuscated in so many ways.
Oh, yeah. I hate that.
And it is easier to actually just click on a game in Windows XP or Windows 98. It's easier to find things on your PC in Windows 98 or Windows XP, oddly enough.
So Vista had issues, right? Tons of issues, no doubt. It was very heavy, but they did that thing where you could kind of collect all your games inside of like a game thing that was part of the start menu, right?
Yeah.
And they all had these really nice icons, and you could kind of set it up as you wanted. And it didn't matter whether it was Steam or some other service. You could basically put all your games into this nice looking like library that was part of Windows. And I was like, oh man, if they continued with this, that would be pretty awesome. And then they just got rid of it, and it never came back. And I never understood that.
Bring back the game thing. That's what I say.
Bring back
the game thing, whatever it was called.
Yeah, it's just games. I mean, I can't remember how it was exactly organized. Yeah, but there's stuff like that where I feel like that they could really optimize. When you set up your PC, you can click, like business for home use, etc. For game use should be another thing, and then subselection of handheld or desktop. These are all within the realms of possibility, and the UI has been proven now by SteamOS completely. This has taken far too long. It needs to be there yesterday. I'm excited, though, at least to see that there will be some traction in this space. They need it.
Well, I'm expecting to see something about Project Kennan during these summer games festivals.
Summer Jeff Con.
Jeff Con, yeah. Key 3, whatever.
Jeff Con 6.
Key 3.
So, maybe this is a time for Microsoft to actually break cover and say, hey, this is what we're doing on handhelds. This is what we've got coming with Project Kennan in association with ASUS. And, throw the doors open, essentially, let press have a go on it. Let us test it. I mean, ultimately, it should run on existing Windows handhelds as well, you'd think. I mean, there's nothing special about the ASUS device other than it's got a new APU. I'm actually quite intrigued by this idea of delaying the actual bespoke Xbox handheld in favor of just producing a good version of Windows for OEMs. Because if you think about it, well, what are the sort of, requisites for a console? And it is, ultimately an SoC surrounded by memory and a fast storage unit. And that is what Steam Deck is. That is what the Asus ROG Ally is. So, if the hardware situation is already being taken care of, and there is actually, new handheld APUs coming, every year or every other year, I can kind of see why you might not want to fully commit to a handheld. But ultimately, if you're going to be doubling down on the software's got to be really good.
I'm just imagining, they always did Windows 11 Professional, Windows 11 Home or whatever, that kind of thing. Imagine Windows 12 Professional, Home, and then Windows 12 Xbox,
right?
And or game, where it's a specific just branch of Windows that's very specifically designed to be the fastest experience for games. They cut out all the fat, all the things that you don't really need for a gaming system. What's that?
Copilot.
Don't tell Satya, man. Most of his job is
I'm
done
gonna
by
vibe
Copilot.
code him an email.
I received
to tell Satya I don't
PR
want that.
comms from Microsoft saying they're actually doing Copilot for games. It's going into test very soon, maybe even now. So that's sorry, Alex.
How do I beat this boss, Copilot?
Yeah. Oh
Hey
my
Siri,
gosh,
how do I beat
sorry.
that boss?
It'll be like the entity in Mission
stomach
Impossible.
pain.
It must be destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Who knows? It could be really good, but it doesn't particularly excite me in any way. We got this supporter question here from Jilon Zhao with Dave 2D's video comparing both ROG Allies. I think it was actually a Legion, one with SteamOS and one with Win 11. What do you think is closer, SteamOS for PC desktops, or a version of Windows 11 better built for handhelds? Well, the thing is, all the hard work on SteamOS has seemingly been done, right? There's no reason why it can't run on a desktop. I mean, so I would expect that to come first, but it all will depend on, I guess, what's happening with this Project Kennan stuff and the extent to which it translates to other PCs, because, it certainly could do with a lot of work there. Any final thoughts on this before we move on, John?
Man, it's just, it's so interesting to see how far Valve has come with SteamOS, where there was the whole, the Steam box or whatever it was called for so long.
Steam machines.
And it just never, the Steam machines, right? And all these other things. And then it never really took off. And then they really hit it with the Steam Deck. But then in reality, the Steam Deck was just the, what was it? What was that device that was promised for so long that we all saw? You remember the one? It was a handheld.
Yeah, the new.
I remember the device you're talking about. Yeah.
The Smack Z or whatever.
Yeah, Steam Deck kind of beat them to it and destroyed them,
the Steam Deck just is the Smack Z, but like actually done and good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can you still like pre-order the Smack Z?
Probably.
There is a social media account for the Smack team. Wow, they last posted in 2019.
Yeah.
Sick.
Unfortunately, I think the dream of the Smack Z is dead.
Well, it's very much alive. The handheld is fast becoming a PC staple.
It's wild how like they were on the cusp of what would become a huge thing in the PC space, and they just completely missed it. Man, poor guy. Feel sorry for the Smack Z team. They really got smacked around.
Did you meet them once?
I did, yeah. They were nice. I mean, they were earnest in what they were attempting. I saw Fortnite running on that thing at 15 FPS. I was like, all right,
yeah.
But it was 2019, right? This was before the idea of a handheld PC was really for serious gaming was really like a reality, right?
There were quite a few sort of
laptops,
prototype devices that did make their way to market, but yeah, it wasn't until RDNA 2 really brought the power efficiency to get that performance out there. Any final thoughts from you there, Alex, on this?
No, I just really want Windows to be in a better place. I was just thinking about one thing. So let me complain about one Windows thing really quickly. Occasionally when I pop in an Intel GPU, Windows decides to uninstall the latest driver and install an old one for Intel GPUs. So if you're in the audience and ever used an ARC or a B580 and you've had your driver revert to an old one, it's a Windows thing. And I have no idea why Windows does this, but there you go.
It must be stopped, I think is the...
Yeah, it must be stopped.
Yeah, okay.
Evil.